Hello all, welcome to the lecture series of cloud computing. Today we'll see the basics of cloud computing, that is fundamentals of cloud computing. So let's start with the lecture. Before starting with the lecture, let me introduce myself. I am Professor Poonam Mahale working in Kekewa College of Engineering, Education and Research. So let's start today's lecture with an objective. At the end of today's lecture, you will be able to understand the need of cloud computing. You will become familiar with the cloud computing and its basics terminology along with ecosystem. So let's start today's lecture with what is cloud computing? Why we require cloud computing? Cloud computing is nothing but a standardized IT capabilities, IT services, software or infrastructure. These all the things are delivered via internet in paper-based use or self-service way. So cloud computing is a specialized form of distributed computing that introduces utilization model for remotely provisioning scalable and measured resources. So a style of computing in which scalable and elastic IT-enabled capabilities are delivered as a service to external customers using internet technologies are called as an cloud computing. You may find a varied definition of cloud computing which are defined or stated by different scientists. So cloud computing is a method for delivering uh, services, information technology services or IT services through or via internet. So we require basic terminologies of cloud computing. So what are that basic terminologies? We required IT resource, we required on-premise, we are going to use the terminology scaling, we are going to use the terminology cloud service, and we are going to use the terminology cloud service consumer. So we will see one by one all this terminology. What exactly IT resource? So IT resource. IT resource is nothing but an IT related artifacts which may be your either physical servers or virtual server. It is either based on software like virtual server or customized software application, or may be may based on hardware like physical servers or network devices. So IT resources are nothing but physical servers, virtual servers, software program, services, storage device, network devices. We require IT resources for fulfilling IT services. So some IT resources may be displayed outside the cloud symbol. So such IT resources are called as a non-cloud based IT resources. So the resources which are included on cloud, that resources are called as a cloud based IT resources, or some IT resources are outside of the cloud and that resources are called as a non-cloud based IT resources. So IT resource, now in cloud computing we are going to use this terminology throughout the cloud computing uh, videos, or while learning a cloud computing we require all these terminologies. So IT resources are nothing but an IT related artifacts which can be a physical or virtual. Next thing is nothing but an on-premise. So on-premise, cloud is a distinct and remotely accessible environment, right? Hence, cloud provides an option for an IT resources deployment on client side. When an IT resource is hosted in an IT premise, IT enterprise within its organizational boundary, it is considered as an on-premise. It is considered to be located at the premise of that enterprise. Then such resources are called as an on-premise IT resources. The term basically on-premise can be stated as on the premises of an IT enterprise environment which is not cloud based the on-premise IT resources cannot be cloud-based. So on-premise, when IT resources is hosted in an IT environment, in an IT enterprise within an organizational boundary, then such environment or enterprise is called as an on-premise. Next terminology that we required in cloud computing, that is nothing but an scaling. So we'll see what exactly scaling is. Scaling is the ability of IT resources to handle continuous increasing or decreasing demands of usage. It may be possible that some servers used by many consumers or customers. So demand can be increased or decrease. So depending on the increase and decrease in demand, there are types of scaling: horizontal scaling and vertical scaling. So we'll see horizontal scaling. Horizontal scaling, in this type of scaling, same type of IT resources are allocated or released as per the requirement. Same resource, same virtual server can be allocated or released as per the requirement. The process of allocating the IT resource horizontally is known as an scaling out, and the process of releasing the IT resource horizontally is known as an scaling in. So allocating the IT resource is called as a scaling out, whereas releasing IT resource is called as a scaling in. So if same type of IT resources are allocated or released as per the requirement, it's called as an horizontal scaling. If it's allocated, then it's called as a scaling out, and if it's released, it's called as in scaling in. So usually in cloud environment, horizontal scaling is considered as a common form of scaling. You can see in this figure, IT resource virtual server A is scaled out by adding other same type of virtual server as B and C. So this type of scaling is called as an horizontal scaling. Next type of scaling is nothing but an vertical scaling. In this type of scaling, an existing IT resource is upgraded or completely replaced by another IT resource. If we are upgrading that IT resource, that indicates we are upgrading its configuration or capacity. The IT resource are upgraded or replaced with another IT resource with higher or lower capacity. So changing the configuration or the capacity is called as an vertical scaling. The process of upgradation or complete replacement of IT resource by another IT resource with an higher capacity is called as a scaling up. Here in this figure you can able to see IT resource is a virtual server which has initially the capacity of 32 GB RAM and 8 core processor is replaced by 16 core processor and 128 GB RAM. So here the IT resource is completely replaced or scaled up by replacing it with more powerful IT resource. Here we are replacing a IT resource with a more powerful IT resource, and this process is called as a scaling up. The process of up-down gradation or complete replacement of an IT resource by another IT resource with lower capacity, that means reducing the capacity, is called as a scaling down. We are decreasing the capacity of IT resource, and such process is called as a scaling down. So in this figure you can able to see 16 core processor and 128 GB RAM processor IT resource is replaced with an 8 core processor. So here we are reducing the capacity, and that's why this process is called as a scaling down. So virtual scaling is nothing but an upgradation or completely replacement of an IT resource. If we are increasing the capacity, then it's called as a scaling up. If we are decreasing the capacity, then it's called as a scaling down. The next terminology that we required is nothing but an cloud service. So for security reasons, some IT resource which reside within a cloud are made unavailable for remote access. For example, a database or physical server which exists within a cloud may accessible only to IT resources which are present in the same cloud. So some service is accessible within that premise. Now that service is called as a cloud service. So cloud service can be considered as an IT resource which can be accessed remotely via cloud. If you are accessing the cloud services or IT resource remotely via cloud, then it is called as an cloud service. So here the IT resource like processors or servers are accessed via cloud, remotely via cloud, and this IT resource accessing IT resource is called as an IT service or cloud service. So cloud service can be a simple web-based software application which is invoked with the help of messaging protocol or virtual server. It can be anything, or it can be considered as an IT resource which is accessed remotely. The next terminology that we are going to use in a cloud computing is nothing but a cloud service consumer. So IT resource is provided to customer, right? And the one who use that IT resource is called as a cloud consumer. So common type of cloud service consumer can include software programmers, service capable of remotely accessing cloud services with published service contract, as well as workstation, laptops. So here in this diagram, you can see the first diagram shows that a cloud-based web service is accessed by consumers which are outside the range of the cloud. So here the services are accessed which are outside the range of cloud. This cloud service is accessed by the consumer programs, whereas in the second figure it shows that the cloud-based virtual server is accessed from outside the range of cloud. So this cloud service is accessed by human user. So the customer who use the cloud service is called as a cloud service consumer. So these are the basic terminologies that we are going to use in cloud computing. Now, there are various benefits of cloud computing. So first benefit is it reduces investment and proportional cost. As we use many IT resources with the help of cloud, it reduces the investment and proportional cost. That means we need not have to waste money on the infrastructure or the IT resources. We can directly access the resources via cloud. The second benefit of cloud is increased scalability. Cloud provides a pool of IT resources with the support of technologies which can control them collectively. And these allow cloud consumers to scale their cloud-based IT resources to manage the fluctuations in processing. So you can scale up and scale down the IT resources. So increased scalability is the second benefit of cloud computing. Then the third benefit is increased availability. The benefit of business is completely depend upon the availability and reliability of IT resources. If any IT resource is not available, then its unavailability of customer may affect the revenue generation. But the cloud computing, the main advantage of cloud-based environment is its intrinsic ability to give extensive support for increasing the availability of IT resource. It provides the IT resource 24/7. Whenever customer wants to use that IT resource, that customer can use the IT resource, or he can consume the IT resource and pay as per the usage. That leads to an increased availability and reliability, because customer can use the IT resource at any time. That means customer is relying.